All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Good morning to all of you. As the point that this video comes out, just last night, round one of the NFL draft just wrapped up, and Christian, we're gonna just start wrapping it all up. So we'll just get right into it. I'll just get into it because number one pick. I mean, it was never in doubt. Caleb Williams. Obviously, we were just waiting for the name to be called, and I mean, can't really say much more except, I mean, hey, it's a home run pick for the Bears. It sets them up to finally have a franchise quarterback for the first time since what, Jay Cutler, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I even elaborated that a while ago. I mean, Jay Cutler was really their last good quarterback you used to hear, but without a doubt, not much more to elaborate. This was the obvious pick for them. Now, moving on to the next quarterback, since we did have back-to-back quarterbacks, the Washington Commanders did end up picking up Jaden Daniels, so Drake May, that was not the clear division for them as well there. I feel this is a solid one for Washington. You know, they bolstered up that defense, the offense, the quarterback play for Jaden Daniels. I feel like it's a big step up to their offense so far. Obviously, I know how I've said I'll keep Howell, but Jaden Daniels, I think that offense is gonna be good with him. They just gotta give him some more weapons, and they can for sure hopefully make a run in the East.
Don't forget how he was traded to the Seahawks, but I mean, look, what I was saying about Jaden Daniels, I mean, I like Jaden, but not that much if I'm being honest. I told you, I feel like a lot of people are forgetting the point of, I mean, sure, he's a Heisman winner, but every other year in college he was pretty mediocre. I mean, was this just a one-year wonder and his stock flies up? We'll wait and see. I mean, obviously never gonna prey on his downfall, but I'm not going in with the most expectations as we're going into the number 3 pick with New England. I really wanted Drake May to go to the Commanders. We saw the speculation that it looked like they were swapping 2 and 3, and Drake May ended up falling to New England. Unfortunately for him, this is a terrible situation to come into. I mean, we'll see if New England ends up picking up a solid receiver to bolster him up. I would expect them to going into round 2 tomorrow. I mean, or today once this comes out. But it's just a terrible situation for him to go into. Like I was telling you, if he went into Washington, I definitely expected him to be Rookie of the Year. But in New England, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, with Drake May, because I'm not gonna lie, I missed the first 4 picks because I was napping, but I kind of kept up with it. Once I saw
6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first I woke up and kind of surprised with Drake May going to the Patriots as well. So already a lot of people thinking Mac Jones 2.0, but a lot of say and play here. But Drake May is one of those quarterbacks you really want to keep an eye on him to see what he's going to do in New England. Moving on to the next pick, pretty self-explanatory. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. The probably arguably, not even arguably, the best receiver prospect in the draft this year. So obviously a weapon for Kyler, and this is what me and you've been saying. Keep Kyler, give him the weapons that he needs for the Cardinals, and that's exactly what they're doing for Marvin Harrison Jr. I would really expect them to probably bolster up the offense as well in the next couple rounds for the draft.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we've been expecting this pick ever since like mid-season when we expected the Cardinals to have a high draft pick. So obviously I guess you could say the exact same thing as Caleb, the expected pick here. And going into number 5, all the speculation, will the Chargers trade out? Obviously not. Joe Alt will be coming into Los Angeles as Justin Herbert's, I guess, his lead protector on the O-line. I mean, sure, they still got Rashawn Slater, so that actually makes a pretty good tandem. Hopefully, if Joe Alt pans out, we know he was kind of the home run O-line prospect in this, within all these prospects. But I think the key thing is here, I mean, sure, you're protecting Herbert, but who the hell is he going to throw to? Obviously, you got rid of Keenan Allen, you got rid of Mike Williams. I was honestly really expecting Malik Neighbors in this pick if they weren't trading out of it. I love Joe Alt, but I mean, what else is going to go on in that offense?
Yeah, really nice posted up offense, and even not to mention, Justin Herbert was in talks to be traded to the Vikings, but
that was all smoke and mirrors, if you're being honest.
Honestly, that it didn't end up happening. It went a different way for the Vikings, which we get into in a bit right here. And now that's moving on to the Giants with them getting Malik Neighbors back-to-back years where they dropped a receiver. Jalen Hyatt, who's like I mentioned in the last video, he's starting to develop a little bit better. Him and Malik, it could be a nice duo, but they got Daniel Jones throwing to him, and I think he was on his.
He's due for a comeback, though. Let's be honest. We love hating on him, but he's due to do a little better.
Yeah, honestly, it is. But Malik Neighbors is probably the second best receiver in this draft here. So the Giants got to steal. Not even steal. What am I saying? They got arguably one of the.
Well, yeah. I mean, unless you want to compare it with Marvin, but yeah, obviously, I mean, they got their guy. It was more than expected. Speculated that would they go with JJ, but I mean, personally, I think this was the right pick for them. If it wasn't going to be Joe Alt, definitely should have been him. And going into, I guess, who at least me personally, I've been saying Joe Alt was the home run pick for Tennessee. They go with J.C. Latham as he was taken by the Chargers a little earlier, and I don't know. I was just telling you right now, I love J.C. Latham, out of Bama. We talked about him, but over Olu Fashanu, that's where I'm thinking. Like, I mean, I don't know where the head was. I mean, sure they had their ranking on him. I guess they see something in Latham that they don't see in Fashanu, but personally, I don't think this was the right move.
Yeah, you can say this was right, not the right move, but I mean, still a really good, still a really good guy for that O-line to pick Will Levis regardless. Fashanu, they're probably gonna, regret kind of missing on that, but it's still a really big step up for the tight ends. And I'm moving on with the number 8 pick with the Falcons. This is kind of the more controversial one. Michael Penix getting to the Falcons now. Obviously, a lot of Falcons fans, a lot of analysts, they don't like this at all. I mean, you signed Kirk too. It was the 5-year deal, right? 180 million, his fully guaranteed money. I think it was 2 years. And Michael Penix, he's like old for
I believe he was 25, 26, which that was the theme with this draft class. It was Bo Nix and I mean Jaden Daniels too. They're all 5th-year starters. Was it 6 year? I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, obviously Michael Penix was that last bit of it. And you would think and this is something I was just telling you and Carbs just a little earlier. I mean, if JJ McCarthy was still there, if JJ was off the board, I would understand maybe going with Penix as a quarterback of the future. But you get JJ, I believe, what is he, 21, 22? Or I mean, he's obviously younger, and that's the thing. You want someone younger to be able to develop in this position, and to get a guy, I get you want to say the experience. You're in college for a couple years, maybe there's that asset to it, but to me right now, you got Kirk Cousins to get your Super Bowl window right now, and if you're not going to get him some weapons, you're kind of throwing that window out of the picture. But I mean, now moving into someone who actually is kind of, I mean, they're doing the right thing. Personally, I'm looking at the number 9 pick with the Bears, Rome Odunze. I told you, apart from Marvin Harrison Jr., this is my favorite wide receiver in the draft, and pairing him with Caleb Williams, I think this is going to be phenomenal. Obviously, they already got Keenan Allen, they got DJ Moore, and getting I forget who's the running back they just picked up from Philly. I believe was DeAndre Swift. I mean, that offensive tandem as a whole, I'm just loving what Chicago is looking as, and slowly picking up that defense on the other side of the ball. We'll see what they do in the next couple rounds, but I think they're the number 1 winners in the draft so far.
Yeah, right now the Bears are doing everything right. I mean, this offense is getting bolstered up. The defense is kind of still little flaws here and there, but the Chicago Bears are finally doing everything right here. I'm still hoping Caleb Williams gets the right developing that he needs, because I know me and you both know Chicago, they suck with developing players. And now moving him back into the topic with the Vikings, the 10 pick J.J. McCarthy. Now, this is the one where this is kind of a surprise to us, McCarthy coming up that high. I mean, we expect
is it though? I mean, he was projected to be. Yeah, the Vikings were expected to trade up even more.
I expected him to go to the Broncos, but Broncos got a way, more exciting pick right then and there. But JJ McCarthy, I mean, a lot of people think this is Zach Wilson 2.0. Let's be real here, but I think the hate train for JJ, I think at this point is getting a little too out of hand here. But as of right now, he's most likely looking to be the starter of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, we're only comparing him to Zach Wilson because he's white and he had a good pro day. I mean, come on. I mean, give him some respect. The man won a national championship, but sure, okay, he had a great team around him, but you got to be good enough to be the quarterback for a national championship team. And look, personally, I like the pick. I told you he was my 4th favorite quarterback. Well, I'm teetering between maybe liking him a little more than Daniels at times, but I do like JJ. And the only thing for me is I really don't understand why you trade up with the Jets. Obviously, the Jets weren't going to go for a quarterback, so what's the point in trading up 1 pick and giving up an extra draft pick? Would they throw in like a 3rd rounder or something? Doesn't really make sense to me, but I mean, oh well, you moved up 1 pick, and going into that Jets team, the old lineman that I personally, I think I'd put him a little over Joe Alt with Olu Fashanu. I love this pick. Definitely a steal. Would have expected him to go to the Titans, as I said earlier, but I mean, look, I expected Bowers to go in this pick, but with Fashanu falling, I think it was a can't miss pick, and I'm definitely thinking Aaron Rodgers is just jumping for joy with this move.
Yeah, honestly, really big step up for Aaron Rodgers finally gets the protection here. I know, you expect the first rounders to kind of move, be a, an earlier pick, but without a doubt, this is still a W for the Jets.
I
And
told you I was thinking maybe the Rams would trade up for him.
I mean, they're lucky he fell to them, which is kind of the best part here. Now moving on to the Broncos with the other pick that me and you and Carbs were kind of discussing this. Bo Nix going 12th overall to the Broncos. I know Carbs had his little thing about Bo Nix. I like.
He's preying on his downfall. I mean, he's got his own thing, man.
On his downfall, I could see why. I mean, Bo Nix. I mean, there's a lot of speculations why he really wouldn't be in the first. But I mean, in my opinion, I mean, what other choices do the Broncos really have here? There's a lot they could have done, but Bo Nix, this is kind of really the more questionable one for me here.
Yeah, and look, I told you when we were doing the mock, I gave you the dibs on do you think they would take Penix or Bo Nix, and I told you I'm thinking the Broncos are taking Bo Nix, but I would think Michael Penix is a better pick, and in the end that's exactly what ended up happening. And I mean, look, I don't hate Bo Nix. I'm definitely don't have those feelings like Carbajal does, but look, I don't hate it, but it's just like Drake May, man. He's in a terrible situation. By far worse than the situation in the Patriots. And I mean, I don't know. We've been talking about it for weeks and months at this point. No one really wants to go to Denver with the type of front office and coaching that they have. So it's gonna be really hard for Bo Nix. And I mean, we just mentioned it too. Like what a quarterback room, man. Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and Jarrett Stidham, and just generational quarterback room right there. And
Just
going.
they're in agony right now, bro. I feel for them.
Exactly, man. I mean, going into the 13th pick, the Raiders did something right, bro. The Raiders, I mean, a home run pick here. Brock Bowers falling to 13. Like I said earlier, I expected him to go top 10. And I mean, definitely one of the steals of the first round here. I mean, sure, they did get Michael Mayer last year in the second round. So you get two tight ends, but I don't really think that matters personally. I think, like what we were saying, Brock Bowers can be moved into a type of a wide receiver hybrid. So I think this is going to be a great revelation. You got an offense with Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers. Definitely going to revolutionize the Raiders.
Yeah, this was still a good pick for the Raiders. I mean, you got a generational tight end at the 13th pick. And I would understand why Raiders fans and some fans, they'll understand, they will be upset here because they drafted Meyer last year. They didn't really give him the opportunity there. And
but you're not going to be upset at picking up Brock Bowers.
Exactly. But looking at that defense, that secondary, he still needs to be bolstered up. Teron Arnold was right there. Could have been a big step up to that secondary, but without a doubt, Bowers, it's still a good pick. So Raiders fans, you should still be good about this one. And then moving on to the Saints pick at the 14, Tyrese Fuaga. I mean, we've seen him. We talked about him quite some time here. This is another really, really, really talented guy on the offensive side of the ball on the O-line. So Derek Carr, see what he's going to be able to do, finding out that he's going to get some decent protection. Hopefully he just doesn't have a lot of shitters now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I kept giving myself a little pat on the back for this one. I've been mocking Tyrese Fuaga specifically to the Saints for about a little over a month now, and because I told you I love this fit. Especially seeing that Ramchick, what's the situation there with his injury troubles. The Saints, they're in desperate need of some O-line, and they know how to develop them, so that's a perfect move for him. I love Fuaga, and I think this is a great move. And going into the 15th pick with the Colts, little earlier than I would have expected for Laiatu Latu. I mean, this is someone that one of the guys that I expected, would the Rams be having some interest in. The thing with Latu is this is something we kind of didn't even talk about. Those back injuries that had really, a lot of people were thinking that was going to have him fall in the draft, and the Colts did not care. I mean, they're seeing his potential, and look, the only thing with me is I love Latu, but I think the Colts really should have went corner here, specifically with Terron Arnold still being right there for them. I think that would have been the smarter pick, but regardless, they're getting a phenomenal prospect.
Yeah, I still love this pick for the Colts here. I know, before it was either they're going to be secondary, they're going to have another guy on the receiving end, but regardless, this is O-line. This was an O-line heavy draft specifically for the first round, and there's a lot of good guys to really choose from, but lots is really going to be nice for the Colts. Now moving on with the Seahawks, you got upset about this. They got Byron Murphy II. I know how you're in shambles for that small moment here. I mean, my Texas boy, he's going to Seattle, and I really like this pick for the defense of Seattle. That defense is already young. It's hungry and it's really good. That secondary still be bolstered a little bit, but Byron Murphy is going to make a huge impact to that defensive line position.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I love this pick. I told you how much I started watching a little bit of film on him, and I mean, look, the main thing with Seattle, that run defense atrocious in the past couple of years, and obviously Mike McDonald, he wants to strengthen that up. He's getting a great strength. Maybe not this season, coming in, he's got to acclimate himself into the NFL, but this is a great pick for the future for the Seattle defense. And once again, breaking my heart in the pick 17, the Minnesota Vikings once again trading up. I guess this one does make sense. I'm not going to say the McCarthy one made sense, but I mean Dallas Turner. I cannot believe that he fell all the way to 17. Obviously, we were mocking him hard to the Falcons, but whatever they ended up deciding to do. But I mean, oh my God, I really wanted Dallas Turner to keep sliding just a bit, but Minnesota got their guy. They traded up directly, and I mean, sure, they lost Danielle Hunter, but to think, obviously, picking up Dallas Turner, you pick up Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, definitely reloading that defense is pretty good. And obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, they're pretty set. So who knows? Maybe Minnesota is back out of the water once again.
Yeah, I was really surprised he even dropped this far down. I know a lot of guys. I know I know us. We mocked them with the Falcons. That was probably the better fit for him there. But to replace Danielle Hunter at the D line, it's gonna be a really big step up. And I really like this one as well. And then moving on with the Bengals pick. This one kind of, I wasn't too much in shambles about this one, but they picked up Amarius Mims. I mean, you kind of had the speculation that Mims probably wasn't gonna fall to us. He's probably gonna get picked up a couple picks earlier before us, and that's true. And this is a nice pick. I know with Joe Burrow, he's ecstatic right now. I know the O-line, how wouldn't say bad, but there was a lot of flaws last season, and the
There's
protection.
a reason he keeps getting this season-ending injuries. Yeah.
Keep saying it. Oh, it's already two season ending in his young career. I've been picking this up a lot, but Mars Mims to protect Joe Burrow. This one I really, really do like in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, out of what was left, that was easily the best available for O-line talent, and I mean that's kind of what we were saying in this first pick. I mean, maybe you were thinking maybe bolster up that defense, but I think this was probably the right way to go. And going into the 19th pick, my Rams finally get a first round pick, and they hit this one out of the ballpark. I'm ecstatic getting Jared Verse. I know we kind of talked about this. I had him going a little early. I had him going to Cincy as we were talking about them maybe bolstering up the defense, but being a huge part of that FSU defense last season, I did get to watch them a bit because we had our love for Keon Coleman and Jordan Travis, but I can't say enough about him coming off the edge. It's not an Aaron Donald replacement. There is no replacing Aaron Donald, but this is definitely going to be a step in the right direction to keep that defensive line formidable with Kobe Turner and Byron Young. I mean, a great young core, and I'm very excited to see how these guys start to develop.
Yeah, it obviously makes up for Byron Murphy going to the Seattle Seahawks. So obviously, like we said, replacement for Donald, like we said, he's going to be extremely hard to replace. But Jared Verse, he's going to fit right in with the Los Angeles Rams. And now moving on to the next pick, another O-line pick here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Troy Fanu from Washington. This is another pick, got me a little shambles right then and there. I was really hoping he was going to fall down to the 24th as well. But for the Steelers, just more protection for that O-line, and that's exactly what they needed for the Steelers. That O-line, it was one of the I don't necessarily remember the rankings last season, but there was some decent flaws from there. But picking up Troy Fano, this is once again another huge pickup for a team that really needed O-line help.
Yeah, I mean, I was really we kept talking about this. I expected the Washington connection to send him into Seattle, but of course they had to take my guy. And I mean, look, with Troy Fanu, I mean, he's just one of these. Like you said, this draft is definitely stacked with O-line talent. At least prospect wise, we'll see how many of these actually pan out. But as for Fanu, I'm very surprised that he fell to 20. And I mean, we could definitely see why Pittsburgh didn't want to let him slip anymore. And going into 21, I think this is one of the bigger surprises, at least personally. I mean, for Chop Robinson, I love him as a prospect, but as for the fit for the Miami Dolphins, I'm not really loving this. I know you're trying to replace Christian Wilkinson, but I think the way this was going, Chop Robinson, like I said, probably not the best fit. You would probably want to see one of your other needs, and by that point, O-line definitely would have made a lot more sense. And you probably wouldn't have liked this, but I mean, Guyton was right there. Maybe Barton would have been a smart move, but if Miami got their guy, they got their guy, and we'll see what ends up happening for them.
Honestly, for me, like this is kind of a whatever pick for me. I still think it was a nice addition to that defensive line, but like you said, O-line was probably a bigger need especially for protection for Tua, because that's exactly what he needs. And now we went to Philadelphia Eagles pick. This pick I really did like for Philly. You know, rivalry aside, really bolster up that secondary with Quinyon Mitchell, probably one of the best, one of the best, not the best, but one of the best corners in this draft. And Quinyon Mitchell to the Philly. I know Micah, he really loved them. Second year in a row, a prospect that he really loved goes to Philly. But you know, as we said, this is a really huge addition for the Philadelphia Eagles with that defense that we already saw how they were last season. I don't even have to add on to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of expecting Philly to end up maybe trading up, and well, I was expecting them to go for Terrion or Kool-Aid, but clearly Quinyon, someone that I obviously told you that I was very high on ever since the Senior Bowl and how he did in the Combine, someone I was really into, especially back when the Rams really needed a corner. But looking into this, like you say, that secondary being in shambles, I think this is going to be a phenomenal fit for them to really start filling that need. And going into the 23rd pick, another, you could say surprise considering the value, but not really. I mean, look, the Jaguars are trying to replace Calvin Ridley. That's obviously the big thing here. And Brian Thomas Jr., sure, he's a great receiver out of LSU. They got a great track record with wide receivers, so there's always that to look into. But looking at value, you easily could have traded down into the 30s, maybe early second round, and possibly could have gone like, I mean, we see how much wide receiver talent is available going into the second round right now. So that's obviously something we'll get into in just a little bit. But look, I like the pick. I like Brian Thomas, but value wise, I'm not sure this was the right move for the Jaguars.
I still like the pick that was Brian Thomas Jr. Which is, I mean, look, we elaborated this in our group chat with Carbs about Brian Thomas that they picked the receiver. I'm glad they picked the receiver just because, they didn't go online for the specific reasons. But like you said, value-wise, it's kind of skippy here. But I mean, receiver core, it is boosted up now. And I'm moving on with the Lions pick. Once again, another bolster to that defense. Teron Arnold, probably the best corner in this draft here. We saw last season, towards the end, we started getting glimpses of that 2020 off. Was it 2020 or 2021 Lions defense? 2021 Lions defense. It was already looking bad already. And Teron Arnold, I mean, come on. It's an Alabama corner. You know how well they developed here. Him going to Detroit with the culture they've built, it's going to be nice fit into that defensive backcourt.
Yeah, obviously, and I forget the specific guy they drafted, but last draft, same thing. Drafted another corner out of Alabama, and obviously you got that little connection there. Branch, forgot his first name, but Branch out of Alabama last season. And I mean, look, it's obviously they traded with you guys, and yeah, okay. And so I mean, yeah, trading with you guys. I mean, I was surprised that they decided to move over this, but I mean, look, for me personally, Terrion Arnold was the number one corner in the draft. Surprised he fell to 24. I had him at 13, but. And regardless, fills the need that they absolutely needed at corner. And at 25 with Green Bay, I mean, I was telling you, I do like Jordan Morgan. I'm not gonna lie, but over Guyton and Barton, it's really hard to really explain this pick. I mean, we'll see how it ends up panning out. That's the thing here. You can always end up seeing in hindsight in a couple years from now. But personally, I really think Green Bay should have went with Guyton.
Yeah, I know a lot of Green Bay fans, they're pretty upset with this pick just because, like you said, Barton and Guyton, they're kind of like the better prospects here. And, speaking of Barton, he did get picked next with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once again, this O-line for the Bucs, it's finally getting bolstered up once again. It's going to help Baker Mayfield a lot. I think that was one of their main needs. They were one of the teams where the O-line was kind of, like I said, not in shambles, but like I said, still flaws within that position group. And Graham Barton, it still hurt me a bit there, but without a doubt, Baker, he's got a big dude to protect them once again here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love the pick of Barton. It's a solid pick for Tampa, and obviously definitely a need. I would have thought they were going to go corner here, but I mean, still, O-line was definitely a need, and they filled it phenomenally there. And going into Arizona, I feel like I'm kind of the one that keeps knocking a lot of these picks down, but this one specifically, Darius Robinson out of Missouri, I don't like this pick. This one is the main one here. I think this was the worst pick of the first round. To me, just a miss. I don't, prospect-wise, I don't really love him. And as for the need, Kyler needs some protection, man. I mean, you got him a receiver. You need to get him some protection to get him to actually throw to him. And I keep saying it. Guyton was still there. I don't want to keep saying, to take your guy, but I mean, Guyton was right there. Would have been a phenomenal protection for Kyler. And I think 27 was just a miss for Arizona.
Keeping it with picks that you kind of don't see the vision there, but with the Chiefs getting Xavier Worthy, I think this one was We kind of expected this
He's
one
not
to
first round worthy. I'm just gonna say it.
expect this to be. I mean, I kept telling my dad, they're gonna get Worthy. Watch. He's like, who? Xavier Worthy, one from Texas. They're gonna get him. Next, thing you know, the analysts are talking about it. There you go. Worthy's there. I'm like, everyone knows his speed in the combine. That record's the reason why his stock really rose. I mean, I would much prefer Adonai Mitchell over Xavier Worthy if I'm being really more realistic here. He just has slightly more talent. Hopefully, it is subject to change in Kansas City. He does got a speedster. For some reason, Kansas City loves speedsters. Little joke right then and there. Hopefully, most of you guys get that. But hopefully, he's just being able to develop under Mahomes here. I'm really hoping that, honestly, I'm really hoping for Worthy to kind of prove people wrong. But for first round, it's still a little iffy for me.
Yeah, I don't want you to switch back now. You were loving him in the first round just a little ago, but yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for the longest. I don't want just a 40-yard dash to just pump someone up that was borderline second round to just being a first round lock. And I mean, I don't love this pick. I think there was definitely a lot of better. I think the league definitely saved themselves by letting Xavier Worthy go to the Chiefs. Imagine if they would have gotten an actual better receiver, if I'm being honest. But it's Andy Reid. He picked him for a reason, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pans out phenomenally. And Christian, it's your pick. The Cowboys moved down to 29, so I'll let you take this one.
Honestly, this is like the first I was kind of looking at, because look, they're already getting close to get trade down. I was looking more into it, and this was honestly the better decision. We ended up swapping with the Lions, and it didn't work out. Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma, Powers, either Powers or Guyton. I was leaning more to Powers, but Guyton is obviously the better option here. So I'll kind of work with his way with Tyler Smith, whatever the position is going to be. I think Tyler is going to stay at left guard, so he will have to, transition to that. And Tyler Guyton, I was looking some clips even early after he was drafted. He still has some time to develop. There's some miscues here and there, but he's really going to develop in that position. And to even put it more into perspective, looking back at the Lance trade, we gave up a fourth. We lost the pick. We ended up retaining a third back. Yeah.
Was it not a 7?
No. No, that's what I'm getting into. We gave up a 7th for the third. I know I butchered it.
Okay. You said 4th. That's what threw me off. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
We did Lance for a 4th, right? So we lost that pick, but we ended up getting the pick back with Detroit for getting the 3rd, and all we gave up was a 7th. So it finally evened out, and it works out at the end of the day for both teams.
Yeah. And I mean, I was telling you, if it wasn't going to be Mims, it was going to be Guyton in my eyes. And I mean, personally, you got your guys. Jerry didn't fuck this up. Let's just commend him for that.
Jesus Christ.
His dementia didn't kick in for once. Somebody didn't let him take a running back in the first round. Let's just commend them for that. And going into where are we going in? The 30th pick with Baltimore. I'm a little surprised here. I really expect them to go receiver. You had Keon Coleman or Troy Franklin right there for you, but you go Nate Wiggins. I like the pick of Nate Wiggins. I like him as a prospect. I don't think secondary was their highest need, but I mean, look, I think this just means they're probably trading up because we see all the talent at receiver that's slipping down into the second round.
Yeah, now with the Niners pick at the 31st, I know you're really skeptical on this one with Ricky Pearsall.
I'll take it. It's Niners down far. Here we come, man.
Yeah, honestly, look, like we said, you had a Donnie right there. You had Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin. You had those receivers.
Like McConkey. We're not even talking about him.
McConkey as well too. Honestly, look, we're all here for Niners downfall. But jokes aside, here, look, maybe the GMs, the scouts, they knew what they saw in him. But
I mean, look, Ricky Pearsall's a good prospect. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, the Niners could have gotten him with their second round pick. That's what's really throwing a lot of people off. I mean, look, if you like Pearsall that much and you don't want to trade up with your second pick, then sure, reach by all means. You got a great team, so more power to you. But surprising pick nonetheless. And then of course all the reports. I mean, reports came out that they had taken Cooper DeJean, but then shit gets swapped. It's a little.
And the next they got Ricky. So I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, just little draft day shenanigans. It was getting late by that point, man. I think everyone was just kind of trying to get the first round up, and the Buffalo Bills once again trading this time out of the first round, though just one pick down, giving their pick to the Carolina Panthers. I'm gonna get into the Bills right now, but as for Carolina, Xavier Legette. Now I'm gonna just be honest, I didn't even know who he was before. I was focusing on a lot of the other first round quality receivers, and that just tells you I did not think he was first round quality. Definitely a reach, especially considering all the other guys we had. Like we're just saying, Mitchell, Coleman, McConkey, all these guys. Surprising. I mean, sure they had. I mean, clearly this was Carolina's guy, and not really sure why. But look, as for Buffalo, that I do want to get into that. A lot of people are hating. You're saying, "Oh, Buffalo GM found shot dead." Yeah, I get all the hate. They what did they really miss out on? The Niners took Pearsall. The Panthers took, like, I'm spazzing right now, and then the Chiefs got someone that the Bills probably weren't gonna get. So I mean, I think the Bills are still gonna get their guy, and they got a couple draft picks to go with that. So why not make the deal?
I'm just hating, bro. I'm really just hating, But like you said, it looks more realistic for the Bills. Look, they got more capital, and like you said, with the Niners pick and with the Panthers pick, with those two receivers, they really missed out on nothing. Looking more into it, and the receiver, Coleman and Mitchell is right there. That's really they gotta do.
And before we close this out, we're just gonna throw in. I mean, obviously, Christian. There was definitely a couple surprises that ended up happening in round one. So I guess let's just start off with the wide receiver talent and cornerback talent too. Let's throw that in, that the guys that didn't end up going round one.
Yeah, so obviously the kind of surprise one for me at the corners was Kool-Aid. I mean, I expected him to go on an early pick here with some teams that really need a corner, but he's gonna get picked second round. I do not expect him to drop more than that, but he's gonna be an early second round pick. And then one of the receivers we kept mentioning, my favorite guy, my Texas boy, Adonai Mitchell. I'm hoping he drops down low to us, but he's most likely
he's not. But look, here's the thing. I wouldn't put it away from you. Like, you traded down this in round one. I definitely do expect maybe you guys should trade up round one. Let's throw it into our teams. I mean, look, for the Rams, I definitely see a trade up for Jerzon Newton, someone that his medicals was kind of a reason why he didn't go in round one. And I mean, in all reality, he's probably going to go early mid second round. Definitely see Les Snead making a move that I know. I mean, we met with him a good couple times. I think he's definitely going to be someone that I would say was worth trading up for, or one of the best corners available, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I mean, let's move on to running backs. We're forgetting here, not a running back was drafted so far this round here.
Well, it's round one. People kind of learned their lesson on drafting running backs round one.
A couple years, not a running back was drafted here, and with my Cowboys, it's looking more into it that Jonathan Brooks is more likely going to be our second round pick at 6. Please stop saying Blake Corum. I don't like that. But Jonathan Brooks, I've been eyeing him. I really like Brooks, but that ACL injury, it's kind of what everyone's kind of putting him a little lower. But look, his surgery was done by one of the Cowboys team doctors. He was evaluating him day to day, looking more into the injury, and he said he's perfect. He's good. Everything is fine there, which is kind of brings up the morale just a little bit for the Cowboys. But again, this is probably going to be the pick. If we don't end up getting Brooks, it's going to be Philly, because Philly's also eyeing them here. But it's also good. If Philly takes them, we're probably going to go receiver and probably running back in the third. I'm really hoping for Benson, Trey Benson or Braylon Allen.
Yeah, I mean, look, in all reality, I see a lot of that possible. I think, look, if you stay put, you go running back, maybe a trade up for a receiver. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe the dementia starts kicking in round 2 for Jerry. But
safety in the second.
Cooper DeJean. I mean, yeah, it's enough of that. I mean, look, that's basically gonna wrap us up here. I think. I mean, obviously, we already kind of mentioned this in this next video, round 2, round 3. I mean, these videos are gonna get a little less into analyzing, or kind of just run through a little more of what's coming up. But I hope you guys stick around for what's left of this draft coverage. Hope you guys enjoyed a nice little recap of round 1, and we'll see you guys back for more.